and welcome back to 30 days. I'm sorry. I totally
My
just
limbs are out of control. Always.
It's true. It's a real problem. There's been some injuries before.
We've gone to counseling for it.
That's not true.
That's not true.
I would not be surprised if it gets brought up at some point.
Yeah.
I'm Danielle.
I'm Chris.
And welcome back to 30 Days to Building a Marriage You Love. We are diving into tip number 15 today, which is
healthy relationships.
Dun, dun, dun. What comes to mind for you for healthy relationships?
All right. So when I think of 1 Corinthians 15:33, it talks about how it is important for us to not be deceived. Bad company corrupts good morals. And so when I think of that verse, it makes me think of quite a few things and the importance of having healthy relationships. What does it mean to you, though?
I think the first thing that probably comes to mind for me is that saying that you become like the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And I don't even think like that is limited to a physical capacity of spending time together. I think it can be the people that you are talking with most on the phone, the people or FaceTime, social media, just like whatever those 5 people are. Are they people that are rooting for your marriage, cheering you on, life-giving to continuing to build your marriage? Or are they people that are just actually adding toxicity to your life, or maybe trying to, pull your marriage apart, or giving just even like talking down about your spouse, like even stuff like that. So I think those are the things of like the healthy community, right? Because we need people always in our corner that are going to champion us and cheer us on, because it's not all like sunshine. I mean, it is with him, of course. It's always sunshine and rainbows. And it is, of course, with me, but so you need people that are going to hold you accountable, encourage you, pray with you, pray for you. And
yep, absolutely.
What's your, you have a really good analogy with the helicopter and the rotor blades. You want to share that?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a helicopter pilot. I love helicopters and just what the rotary wing aircraft brings to the fight when it comes to combat operations. It's what I've grown up with. So when any of you history buffs out there, if you look at the Vietnam War, I'm sure you've seen we were soldiers and air cav, and really the first large scale use of helicopters in a combat role. And the Huey aircraft was a game changer in Vietnam. The ability to air assault troops forward, transport equipment, transport and resupply, move troops forward to the line, and just put people where they need to be at the right time in the right place to support the ground force commander was a game changer. Now that aircraft is as incredible as it was for Vietnam. It had 2 main rotor blades, and so it was kind of limited in what it could do. And I won't go into the specifics between the difference between that and what I fly, which is the Black Hawk helicopter, other than the Black Hawk has 4 main rotor blades, and it has a greater capacity to carry equipment and troops, and also go further and stay in the air longer. The same way the Chinook, the CH-47, has 6 main rotor blades, and it has an even greater capacity. It can even carry the Black Hawk that I fly underneath it. I've seen it done before, and the Chinook drivers like to give us a hard time about it because it's a pretty impressive feat.
It is.
Yeah. So although our aircraft only weigh about 17,000 pounds, 17 to 18, depending on the configuration, that beast of an aircraft, that behemoth, can carry it underneath it. So it's pretty incredible, but it also has these massive rotor blades. But what all 3 of those aircraft have in common is if you take off the rest of the blades and just leave one on them, it is not going anywhere.
Yeah.
It can't carry anything, can't go any further than the other one. It's going to sit right where it's at and remain stagnant. Same thing applies to relationships and friendships. If you try to do this life alone, you're not going to get very far. And so that's why it's important to have a teammate that you can run with and that can iron sharpens iron, right? But then also your friendships are just as are very important as well to make sure that you have someone that you can lean on, that can pick you up when you're down, and that can also encourage you to make sure that they're pushing you back to your marriage as opposed to pulling you apart when things just may be tough, maybe a tough season, or you've got something to work through, and gives you the opportunity to talk through things in a different way than even your spouse.
Yeah. It's interesting. I was having a conversation actually just yesterday with a girlfriend of mine, and it's just so powerful because she and I, we we seek the Lord individually, but then we often will come back and share what the Lord has been sharing with us. We pray for each other very regularly. And we've done like fasting together, and it's just been really powerful. But sometimes she's also one of the people that I would consider one of my safe people for my marriage, that I know I can share with her to say, hey, we're having a tough season in our marriage. Would you pray for us? And if I choose to share details, she's going to be a safe place, that she's going to love me and my husband, but she's also going to pray and intercede for us from a non-judgmental standpoint. But then if I choose not to share details, she still is going to pray and intercede for us and just check in, because she genuinely loves me and she loves our marriage and our family. And so she is for us. You all right there?
Yeah, a little coffee, sorry.
Anyway, he's fine. But so that's the type of, but then there's been experiences where that's not been the case. And so, just as Chris is saying, I think it's a good just moment maybe to encourage to just pause and just to assess the relationships that are in your life, maybe those 5 people that you're closest with, and what's that dynamic? Are they adding life and value and support to your marriage, to building a marriage that you love? Or are they maybe adding some of that divisiveness or some of that just toxicity to just even your thought pattern that you're then showing up to your marriage? Like, so what does that look like? And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to like cut that person maybe out of your life.
Yeah. Or do you have enough community? Right. I mean, that's something that for me, I've had to navigate, because, I have friends that go as far back as college, or in some cases high school, close friends that were my old roommates that are in a very different season of life. And so as much as I love them as brothers, there's a different way that we connect than I connect with my married friends. And so there's some conversations that I just don't have. And so it's something that I've prayed for very deliberately, is for godly men that I can connect with, and that the Lord brings them in so that we can work together to make sure we're working towards the same goal, which is a healthy, God-centered marriage.
Which that's another interesting thing. And we have not talked at all about this.
Okay. I'm excited about this.
Do you think that we should unpackage quickly at a high level the importance of healthy relationships, godly community, male to male, female to female?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, the big thing is I'm not out pursuing like relationships and friendships with godly men. If I'm,
you mean in a friendship capacity? Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So I know we were going on this now. This wasn't scripted. So we are very guarded in how we navigate opposite sex friendships. And we also try to protect against perception when at all possible. Is that what you're talking about?
I am talking about that, but I also think that good intentions can go south real quickly if they are not in line. And there's something so special about the way that God has designed men, and something so special about the way that God has designed women. And there is value in just even putting that protective barrier of, if I were to meet a wonderful, godly man and that like we get along great, I would not pursue a relationship with him as my friend. I would try and connect him to Chris, that this is our friend. And I would, even if he and I, that gentleman and I, had a better friendship than maybe Chris and him, I would still put that as a protective barrier of this
Yeah.
is my husband's friend, because that is just a safety precaution. Because what I don't want to do is build a tie that is good
Emotional tie.
intentioned, an
Yeah.
emotional tie. And so, same thing, he is not out pursuing relationships with females that are
No.
godly females. That, like, again, he meets some really great, like, ladies, some women, just because we do get to live a lot of places. And it's always great because he'll be like, hey, there's even a really, really sweet lady that he works with in his office right now. He's like, babe, she's awesome. I think you'd really enjoy getting to know her. And that is the directive, where he is working to connect her with me and me with her. And we're trying to build a relationship with, like,
them as a
so
couple.
them as a
Yeah.
couple, right? But he works with her, so they are the connecting points. But he wants to build a relationship with her husband, and I'm going to work to build a relationship with her. But as a protective barrier for your marriage, there is nothing more just dangerous. It's a
Yeah.
very slippery slope than building those emotional ties.
Yeah, and I'm not a big fan of the whole work wife joke that some people say. You know, oh, that's my work wife.
Nope.
No,
Nope.
I have
Nope.
one wife, and I can only handle one wife. Okay. The Lord has only given me capacity for one of you, and it's because you are so amazing and so incredible that the Lord knows that I need to make sure I give you my all, and I'm not divided.
I
But
don't
then
share well.
and secondarily, though, I mean, it's not even
especially.
that is true. That's not even a fun joke.
Yeah.
We've never joked like that. Primarily because, I mean, one, it's the wrong perception to send, but then secondarily, it kind of plants a seed that, you know, you're spending more time with this other woman that's outside of your marriage, and then you're even thinking about her as your work wife, or work husband, you know, for those that work outside the home. And
yeah,
it's not a healthy way to view that kind of professional relationship, I don't think.
Yeah, words have power. And so even
Yeah.
if we're making room for something, right, it's kind of like, well, this was okay. And then, you just never know.
It's a slippery slope.
You just never know. And so it's one of the precautions that we would just encourage and probably interject to just say, pray for godly community, pursue godly community, pursue friendships, relationships with people that are going to sharpen you, hold you accountable, challenge you, encourage you, inspire you to grow together, to be better together as your marriage, but then also be mindful that you are pursuing that relationship with, like, women who are going to encourage that with, wives and husbands to other men, and collectively with couples, like, so. Anything else to?
No, I think it's important to note, though, too, that, it's taken us some time to figure this out, and we're still figuring it out. And I think we're constantly trying to improve on us as individual people, but then also for our marriage. And
it's also kind of funny because, like, every time I feel like we do get, like, really close to, like, figuring it out a little bit
changes,
more, we move.
Yeah,
it's like,
that's true. And we reintroduce something else.
We went to dinner twice and it was really great.
Yeah, but I mean, we're pretty passionate about making sure that that we are pursuing God first, and we are pursuing each other next, our kids, and then everything else after that. And so when you kind of add work to the mix with that and those kind of relationships, anything you can do to guard those most important nucleus, guard against perception, and make sure that you are keeping the most important things that you've been entrusted with in the forefront of your mind as you encounter anything outside of the home, and also at home and in public and in private. It's super important to make sure that we are guarding that. And that's taken us time to figure that out. And we're still trying to get better at this whole journey of marriage and parenting.
And that's why we're here with you, because we are just showing up, creating space and dialogue for that to happen.
Yeah. And if you don't know about Danielle, dialogue is one of her favorite words. There's really two things: dialogue and dialogue and processing, but we'll talk about processing on a later video.
Joining us for healthy relationships. We are so thankful for you, and we'll see you